Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Eat Sleep Game. My name is Luke, and this is episode 19. I think it is episode 19 of the Eat Sleep Game podcast. I may be wrong. Don't shoot me if not. I'm not going to look because I can't be bothered. This week, Jake is unfortunately still away. He's a busy boy. He's got a lot of stuff to deal with work and outside of that. So today I'm joined by a special guest. We've had discussions before over on Game for All. He is Techradar and my Xbox and me's Matt. How are you doing, buddy?
I'm very good. Thanks for having me on, mate. Thanks for inviting me on.
Thank you so much for dropping it in. You've done me a huge favour. Otherwise, it'd be another solo episode, which I did enjoy.
Well, it's always a pleasure to chat to you and the guys over at Game for All. So always a pleasure.
Thanks so much. Thank you. So today we're going to be talking about the latest partnership news. There's a lot of partnering up at the minute going on from PlayStation, Konami, and a couple of other places that I'm sure we'll get into. But first things first, what have you been playing at the moment, bud?
What have I been playing? Lots of Xbox-centric stuff. So Game Pass, Xbox Game Cloud. They have too many services, too many different names. They keep changing them. I can't keep track. Xbox Cloud Gaming, just come to browser and stuff on for everybody. Yes. So I've been testing that out, playing lots of Gears and Forza and all sorts of stuff. Like my attention span now that it's all cloud gaming and I haven't got to download anything, my attention span has just plummeted. So I'm jumping in and out of all sorts of stuff.
I feel that.
But really enjoying it. Forza's kind of the main one that I've been playing at the moment, just because Forza 5 at E3 absolutely blew me away and got me very, very excited. And I've never been a big racing car game guy at all, and jumped into Forza 4 and it's hooked me. And so surprisingly enough, been deep into that.
Nice. Yeah, I love Forza Horizon 4. I think it's so cool. I am really looking forward to it.
I was just going to say, it's just better than it has any right for it to be for me, right? Like I've never been that racing game fan, and then it starts like throwing boss battles at you and stuff, and I'm like, this is awesome. Racing a train, racing a hover car, and then the Halo stuff that's in there is like actually really well done, and it's really neat, and it's awesome. But like I've been chatting to some people about it, and they're saying, when did it come out initially? Like 6-7 years ago. It was a very, very different game back then, and it's definitely been refined over the years. So that I guess it doesn't worry me about Forza Horizon 5. I'm assuming that they'll kind of hit the ground running with that. But I think I've jumped in at the right time to grab me.
Yeah, and I think the Horizon series has really refreshed and revitalized the Forza series a bit. I wouldn't be surprised.
100%. I've always thought of it.
I've
always thought of it as like a hardcore racer, right? And I don't I don't want to have to brake in my racing games. That's not something I want to have to do. And Forza Horizon, you still do, but it's light enough that I can get through. So
I mean, it kind of scratches that Need for Speed itch, because Need for Speed has
100%.
fallen off massively, which is a shame because
100%.
We've talked about it a bunch of times before, but it's weird that Fast and Furious is as big as it is, but we don't have the alternative in gaming. Like the Fast and Furious games tend to suck, unfortunately. Need for Speed was the closest, but that was 10-15 years ago. I really feel like Rockstar have got Midnight Club. I keep saying I think they should bring that back and make it into their Fast and Furious alternative. I think they could do a good job with that.
I think Rockstar probably see that as a little bit beneath them at this point. Maybe that's harsh to say, but I think you're right. I think it wouldn't surprise me if somebody picked up that license, or I don't know if you would even need that license. No. Like you say, the Fast and Furious games certainly weren't critically acclaimed, and I doubt they did that well commercially either.
I mean, the only one that did well was the Forza Horizon 3 tie-in. They did a
Did they do that? That totally passed me by, but it makes sense.
Yeah, it was only like a brief one. It wasn't all that good. It was just kind of a little. It was like a small expansion. I'm pretty sure it was 3 anyway. But it wasn't all that expansive or that much to talk about. But that was probably the best of what they've tried to do. But that being said, EA picked up Codemasters, so they could have a hand in revitalizing Need for Speed, maybe.
Yeah, I'd like to see it, and I'd like to try out more racing games now, right? It's like opened my mind to racing games a little bit more now, that other than just kart races, which is what my kind of forte was before then. Not even necessarily a forte, but so I've been playing that lots, and I've dabbled in Dungeons & Dragons Dark Alliance 2. which I doubt I'll be going back to be honest with you. I think the issues with that game are quite well known at this point. And Tokyo 2020 Olympics I've been jumping into a little bit and having a laugh with.
Yeah,
so
Jordan played that a little bit last week, I think he said.
It's an interesting game, that's for sure. It's a weird one.
Yeah.
But it's a good laugh. You get a group of friends together.
Absolutely. I'm really looking forward to WarioWare for that. I can't wait for that to come out.
Yeah. Oh my god, I used to love WarioWare back in the day when that got announced at E3. That got me. That's probably one of my hyper E3 announcements.
Yeah.
Because it feels like it came out of nowhere. I never really. Well, I guess I expected them to go back to WarioWare eventually. Like they've done 3DS games and stuff like that, haven't they? They've kind of kept it alive.
Yeah, it's just been a while, hasn't it?
Yeah. It's been a long time. But for Switch, perfect. Come on, I need more party games on my Switch.
Absolutely. What have I been playing? I've been playing more Bully. Because we have got the Rewind episode coming up on Game for All. And that's my favourite game ever, so that's just a kind of...
It's an easy go back to, for sure.
Absolutely is. Still playing a little bit of Bioshock 2 for my next video that I'm doing, and I actually started playing Football Manager again. I don't know why, I got weird sim itch.
Euros getting that itch going.
I don't pay attention to international football. I'm much more of a club football dude. The international is kind of just, as long as like someone from Tottenham does well, I don't really care, to be honest. But there's only like 2 people left in it, so. But no, I don't know. It's kind of the sim part of it. I really wish FIFA had a little bit more of the manager tinge to the career mode, and it wasn't just so easy to be like, sick, I'm buying you, cool, here I come, sort of thing.
Right.
Otherwise, I would just play FIFA a lot more, but they don't care about the career mode, so why should I? And that's about it. I actually downloaded the Saboteurs to try out, because I'd never tried that out, and it was on Game Pass through EA Play. So
it's like an old 360 game, right?
Yeah.
Third person, like French World War II, something like that, right?
I think so, yes.
World War One?
Yeah.
Maybe?
I saw it and I'm like, I've always wanted to try that out. Damn it, I'll just download it. Because it's similar sort of thing to you, where like now everything, Game Pass and all that is all cloud-based and stuff. I'm just like downloading so much, so I'm trying to keep only a small amount of games downloaded and be like, no, I'm going to play these, get through them, uninstall them, move on, sort of thing. Probably won't happen.
Have you tried cloud gaming yet on your PC?
I haven't. No, I have not yet. I did it. I messed around.
Dangerous place to be, man.
I bet. I played around with it on my phone for a bit. I was like, yeah, cool. I'm going to use this to play indie games, but I never really picked it back up. Oddly.
Yeah. So on my phone, I really struggled. Like I jumped into like Banjo-Kazooie and stuff like that, and touchscreen phone stuff.
Oh, see, I bought a Razer Kishi.
Really cool. I was thinking about doing that, and then I was kind of like, let's just hold off till we get it easily on the PC, and I just took up a controller. And playing Gears today, I was like, I want to push it like with Forza and Gears to see like, is it going to make me break late, my input lag or whatever it is, and I was totally fine. I'm not going to jump into like Gears Online and try and compete or anything like that, but like it worked great, and it looked good, like a couple of drop frames here and there and a couple of artifacts and stuff like that, but like totally worth it for having to not download the game for me on my little Series S, you know what I mean? So like, huge.
It is really exciting, because I was one of the early adopters of like Google Stadia. I've always thought and liked the idea of cloud gaming, because it is, it is the future one way or another. It's just how soon in the future it is. I still think obviously we're a couple of years away, but this sounds like we're perhaps closer than a lot of people think. So I mean, a lot of people 100%. Were still, I'm never going to buy digital games, and now that's what most people do. Very same tinge, I think. And obviously they're working on that dongle to plug into TV. I wouldn't be surprised if we know Sony are working with Microsoft on some cloud stuff that they said ages ago. So I wouldn't be surprised if, I don't know, PlayStation maybe eventually get there, but we'll see.
I don't know, man. Like, what you'd think they'd have to be tit for tat with that. Like, I don't know. Like, if you get an Xbox app on the PlayStation, there's no way that there's not some sort of PlayStation app on the Xbox. But then, how does that even work? Because I don't know if Sony are in a place to really start pushing that stuff yet. And so, like,
my thinking is that Xbox eventually stopped making consoles bar streaming consoles. And then
I think so.
They're not competition for Sony. They are more of a publisher than anything. And then Sony get a specific version of Game Pass that is just like Xbox games that you can't buy on the Xbox, potentially, or PlayStation rather. Because I think that'll be the same if Game Pass goes on Switch. I think it would be a tailored version of Game Pass, but I don't think Game Pass is going on Switch. I think that's just xCloud, and then you can play like Halo.
Yeah, that would make sense, right? Yeah, xCloud over. I could see that happening on Switch, maybe. But even that, I think, I don't know. How easy is it to make a deal with Nintendo? I think probably.
Yeah, absolutely.
Even more difficult than Sony at this point, maybe for Xbox. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. But it'll be fascinating to see what happens in the next few years with it, because I think you're right. I think we're in the very early stages of cloud gaming. Even though it feels like it's been around forever with Stadia and Luna and stuff like that. Well, Luna's pretty new, but you know what I mean. It does feel like it's been around for a long time, but it hasn't really. In the grand scheme of things, it's very early days. It's still, we're just transitioning from Netflix sending a DVD to your house to you watching it online. Do you know what I mean? So and now we're all watching 4K Netflix streaming, no problem at all. So it's gonna be fascinating to see where we are.
Yeah, it absolutely is. I wonder if it'll get to a stage where it is back to like the cable days where you had to get like Sky and stuff like that, and you can get into like packages. I honestly wouldn't be surprised if you see Game Pass kind of packaged a bit. Maybe you pay a bit more and get game early or something. I don't know how they would do it.
You can do it now with certain internet providers. I think BT. If you have BT internet, you can pay. I think you only actually save about £1 a month if you're paying like full price for Game Pass and stuff like that. But you can hook Game Pass onto your BT internet contract and you save £1 a month, 12 quid a year or something like that. It's not much.
You could do that with some phone contracts as well now. Yeah.
So
it's coming. Everything's going to be ubiquitous. Everything is just going to be one big old thing. I honestly thought it'd be Google. that took over the world, not Microsoft.
Yeah, I mean, they're such a behemoth. I suppose Google and Microsoft are like the two big boys, right? Like fighting at the top. And so and maybe it still will be. Maybe who knows? Who knows what will happen?
Maybe PlayStation team up with Google. Who knows?
That'd be huge.
Who knows?
That'd be huge.
But that's one partnership that might happen somewhere down the line. We've got a bunch of other partnerships that I say we definitely know of. There's one that we pretty much know of by accident. So PlayStation just announced that they've acquired Housemarque, which I think, not a surprise, but it's one of those where it's like, oh, cool, it finally happened sort of thing. Yeah. Because they've been tied to PlayStation forever. Resogun was the first thing I tried out with them, and I adore Resogun. Such a great game. And obviously got Returnal now. And from this, they've said that they're just going to make bigger and better games sort of thing. But PlayStation Japan also accidentally leaked that they may have picked up Bluepoint as well by posting the wrong picture on Twitter, which I thought was hilarious. And it doesn't look like it's fake because, one, they got rid of it very quickly, and two, you can tell it just looks like something they've made. I think these are two very good purchases, and I think it kind of ties in with one other that may happen, and that is Konami and PlayStation making some kind of deal with their IPs, because we've known about this Metal Gear franchise for remake for a very, very long time, and Bluepoint have been teasing it for a long time. What do you think of these acquisitions? Because I think I honestly think they're very smart ones, and I think that along with Insomniac, I think PlayStation have been very clever, because they don't have Microsoft money, so they can't go out and buy a Bethesda, Square Enix sort of thing. Yeah. And they are going a bit more, our fans are playing these games. They're kind of ubiquitous with PlayStation. Do you think they're quite smart pickups as well?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, Housemarque is one of those ones where I think, like you say, some people probably had the reaction of like, "Oh, they weren't already owned by Sony." Like that was probably the reaction for a lot of people. And so, yeah, I think that's a super smart play, right? Like you say, Resogun launching on PS4, and a lot of people were saying it's the best thing you can play on PS4 when that thing launched. And even though it was this small arcade game, and Returnal is such a huge step forward for them, the security of being bought by Sony and just having that security, they've come out and said that it's going to allow them to do much bigger things, right? Like they're not going to scale back to Resogun, they're going to scale up and make a much bigger experience. And Returnal is something I haven't had a chance to pick up yet. I want to.
Nice.
I just haven't had time.
Sure.
And now Ratchet's out, and I haven't had time to play that either. So who knows when I'll ever get to it. But yeah, so I'm really looking forward to see what they do next. Like you say, having the security and support is only going to help somebody like that, right? And like you say, from is it a smart move from Sony's viewpoint of them? I'm assuming giving the trust to Housemarque and say, okay, make something bigger than Resogun for the PS5. Like use all the PS5 stuff, show us what you can do, and then now they're a super safe bet. Right, to buy and make something bigger because they've proven they can do it. Yeah. They've proven they can scale up to the next generation, basically. So yeah, super excited to see what will come of them next. Bigger and better is sounds good to me. Like I'm all aboard.
100%.
Would you want to see something new and original now, or is there room for a Returnal 2? I know you've played a bit of it.
Yeah, I've played a bit of it. I'm not. I got to like the second biome.
Sure.
Not massively far into it, but it is a very good game. It is very good, and I think I don't know about a Returnal 2 because I don't know how the story goes.
Sure.
But I'm down for whatever they make. To be honest, I think they're a fantastic studio, and they got such incredible imaginations over there. It's one of those where kind of like Insomniac as well, where it's just like sick. We're making this, like, dope. I'm in. You've got an incredible track record.
100%.
What do you think of Bluepoint? Because Bluepoint are obviously pretty much just known as the remake factory over there, but there has been a lot of talk that maybe they've acquired a bunch of people for, like writers and creatives and stuff like that, so they could potentially start making their own stuff as well.
Yeah, I think Demon Souls was probably is maybe still my game of the year, like if it still counts because it came out last year, but you know what I mean. Sure. I think it's amazing. I never played the original,
no,
but like that is stunning, right? And again, similar to Housemarque and Returnal, it they've proven they know what they're doing with the PS5, right? At the very least. And so I think it makes perfect sense if Sony are looking to pick them up, or maybe already have and haven't announced it, whatever it is. Like you say, that graphic to me, I'm like 95% sure it's happening. Like, you know what I mean?
It's been corroborated by a couple of other sources. That is an actual thing now. So it's weird.
100%.
I would have thought they would have just been like, whoops, yeah, it's real. Here you go.
Yeah, me too. But I'm sure contracts, legal stuff, like these things take a long time, right? And I'm sure until it's 100% signed and I's dotted and T's crossed, they're not going to come out and say anything just in case.
Yeah, for sure.
But yeah, it's one of those things. I think again, if they hadn't been leaked and there wasn't this conversation around it, it would kind of be similar to Housemarque in that they announced they bought them, and a lot of people say, "Oh, there wasn't already a thing," because Demon Souls PS5. Like I just put that two and two together, and there I am.
Yeah, because I think the last game they worked on that wasn't a PlayStation exclusive was the Metal Gear trilogy. I think.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think you're right. And so Shadow of the Colossus I thought was a fantastic remake from them. Demon Souls obviously insane. I love that game. And so I can't wait. I think that you say there's been rumors that they're bringing people on and they're working on something original. I would love to see what that is. I was hoping we would see it at E3. I was probably optimistic based on the fact they pretty much only just finished Demon Souls.
It sounds like they've got multiple studios because Shadow of the Colossus and Demon Souls weren't that far apart.
What, a couple of years maybe? 3 years maybe?
They're pumping them out
not hugely.
Like FromSoft do. FromSoft pump out games quite regularly. It seems like they're similar. They must have either multiple teams or a pretty big team that can just easily switch over to the next thing. But I'd be really curious to see what an original thing would look like from them, where they take their inspiration. Because obviously they've remade so many different styles of game. Like it'd be very curious to see what direction they'd actually go in themselves.
100%. And I think Sony, at least in 5-6 years, has been willing to give people a chance, right? Like Guerrilla making Horizon Zero Dawn is like a huge leap for that team and incredibly successful for them. So hopefully we'll see something quite unique from them. It wouldn't surprise me if it's some sort of rogue-like thing, and it kind of is in the Demon Souls arena. I think maybe, I don't know, like very top level kind of strategic thing. Are people thinking, well, Elden Ring has a lot of Xbox marketing behind it, and we need something to combat that, maybe.
Yeah.
And so they're making something similar to Demon Souls. Is probably a good shout. Maybe that's probably quite a leap. But it'll be fascinating to see what comes out of those guys next.
Absolutely would. What do you think of all the links to Konami? Because again, we know about the Metal Gear remake that's been teased for a very long time, and now obviously PlayStation officially own Bluepoint. There's all the Blue Box stuff going on, which has gone very quiet now that their thing's been delayed. There was, Kojima's followed by Konami again, which is a bit suspect.
I know.
The Xbox talks seem to have gone a bit quiet. They came out a month or two ago, and there was, there was talk of Kojima already working on a game over there, which didn't really make sense to me, because he would have had to find like a new engine, stuff like that to work on. But do you think there's anything in a PlayStation partnership with Konami IPs, even if it is just Metal Gear on its own? Because now they've obviously teamed up with Bloober for probably Silent Hills.
Yeah, you'd hope so, right? One day we will get a Silent Hills game, I'm sure. But yeah, I think a partnership rather than like a full buyout, right? Yeah. Like is probably quite likely, and what that will be, I don't know. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see. I think Metal Gear is one of those franchises that screams PlayStation, right? Obviously, and so it kind of would be crazy to me if they didn't try and score some sort of exclusivity with it all. But then I thought that about Kojima as well, right? Like when the rumors were coming out that Kojima was talking to Xbox, I was like, in what world does Kojima leave, start up his own thing, PlayStation get him for Death Stranding, and they don't lock him in for 3 games? Yeah. Like, come on, surely they've locked him in. Maybe not. It doesn't sound like it. Maybe, who knows? No,
exactly. I mean, it might have been they're guaranteed that they get his games first, or so. Because I mean, Death Stranding's owned by PlayStation.
Yes.
Kojima Productions don't own that. And then obviously it's Guerrilla's engine he's using, so it's all, I don't know, that it's a bit of a messy one, that one. How he ends up, whose engine would he? Do you maybe he'd use id Soft or something like that?
Maybe. But then again, you run into these issues of, well, can you? Yeah, I don't know if his next game is not on Guerrilla Engine or can't be on Guerrilla Engine because it's going elsewhere. Is that a rule that they have? I don't know. We don't know what goes on behind closed doors, right? Yeah. And so there's probably, I would assume that the building blocks of Death Stranding are the building blocks for Kojima's next game. I'm assuming he's not throwing it all out of the window and starting again, although I wouldn't put it past them. I don't know. I think it'll be a long time before we see a Kojima game again.
Unless this abandoned stuff is him.
Nah, I don't think so. I was convinced at one point it was.
Yeah.
And then I saw a couple of the videos that their CEO was putting out, and I was just like, nah, this dude's, he's had enough. He's pissed off about this now, but trying to be sincere. And I think it did come across sincere, and it was good to see. And I think they're in a weird spot. But then I keep going back to this idea that they're releasing trailers through a PlayStation app, and I'm like, why would PlayStation help them do PlayStation will hold back features from little indie devs all the time. You can't even have a platinum trophy in your game for no reason. But they're building an app to go exclusively on PlayStation to release these trailers. So then and that screams Kojima to me. And so
me and Jordan were talking about this on the last episode of Game for All Pod, and I think there's just too many coincidences for it not to be manufactured one way or another, whether it's Blue Box or a genuine studio and they've just screwed up by teasing it might be Silent Hill when it's not, and it's just blown up and got out of their control, or it is Kojima or PlayStation just pissing about and having some fun, because they've done it before. They'll probably do it again.
I think if it is Silent Hill, because them saying we're going to announce the real name of the game and it starts with an S and ends in an L is you knew you knew exactly what you were doing 100%. With that.
100%.
So if it is Silent Hill, then I think there's actually less chance Kojima's involved. In my head.
I think he could be like on the writing team or something like that.
Like credited as like an executive producer or given a nod to somewhere. Maybe.
Because like that I don't think he's, even if PlayStation do get like exclusivity on Metal Gear, I don't think Kojima's ever working on Metal Gear again. I think
I
the
agree.
Death Stranding trailer was very much a message to people. Is like, yeah, I'm done with Metal Gear. I'm putting that box on the shelf. I'm finished with that. I don't think that trailer is anything. People are like thinking that trailer is telling them that Death Stranding's director's cut is going to be like, oh, it's going to make Death Stranding more Metal Gear. It's not going to.
No.
It's not going to. You'd have to change so much about the gameplay.
I like the idea.
It's just a upres.
Yeah, I like the idea that a director's cut exists. Like somebody was telling Kojima, "Oh no, you can't do that in Death Stranding. We need to trim the fat here. We need to do that." Like that is not what was happening with Death Stranding. Clearly,
if there's a game that doesn't need to be longer, it's Death Stranding.
Exactly.
There's enough plodding around as is. But then we have got another rumored director's cut coming through Ghost of Tsushima as well. There's a lot of
that'd be
a lot of PlayStation rumors going around. Do you think with these announcements of the PlayStation partnerships, do you think that maybe that rumored PlayStation event isn't actually happening anytime soon?
I don't know.
It's supposed to be one in a couple of weeks.
Yeah, exactly.
But I would have potentially held off and announced these at that show, unless it's a smaller kind of state of play sort of thing.
Yeah, it's difficult to know, right? Because PSX, the last PSX was rumored about, and then just never happened, right?
Yeah.
Am I right in thinking that? It was like all of December, not last year before.
Yeah, I think it was like 2-3 years since we've had a proper PSX.
Exactly. And COVID could have affected that, and maybe it really was just about to happen, and COVID hit, and they decided to bin off for some reason. But I doubt it, right? Like, and so PSX is one of those weird things where I wouldn't be surprised if it happens in a couple of weeks. Equally, I wouldn't be surprised if we never get another PSX ever again. And they just call it something different, and it is more maybe Nintendo Direct right in the way they do it. Yeah. And I think honestly that would probably be the way to go. I think they've been doing really well with their like state of plays of recently, right? Like the Horizon state of play I thought was brilliant. Tell people exactly what they're going to get, and then blow people away with how good that game looks. My God.
For a PS4 game. That looks insane.
Can't believe it. I think the comparison videos that come out around that are going to be fascinating to see. God knows what that'll look like or play like on PS4. So I think they've been doing well with their state of plays, and I think they would be better served to just have a really polished state of play and maybe make some of these announcements. But like you say, I think me and you are in the top 0.1% of gamers that care about this stuff, right? And understand who Housemarque is and understand what a purchase from PlayStation means for that. And so maybe you do announce it again at a PSX, and because it's got more mainstream eyeballs on it and people care in a different way. Or maybe you say, hey, look at these 2 studios that we bought, including Bluepoint and partnership with Konami. Maybe it'll all come out at a PSX. Who knows?
That's what I was thinking. I wonder if they're holding off on the Bluepoint stuff, because they'd be like, oh, we've acquired Bluepoint, and here's Metal Gear.
And here's what Bluepoint are working on.
Yeah, exactly. Just show off.
That'd be lovely, wouldn't it? That'd be amazing.
Dope. That'd be
sick.
Dope.
We should write it. We should just start our own.
Oh,
we should just
that'd
fake
be great. Oh my God, yeah. We'll be Redbox.
Yeah, love it.
We'll just steal the whole blue box situation. So we've obviously, that's all the PlayStation stuff. We have Konami as well. They've teamed up with Bloober Team. They've been very vocal, oddly, recently. They've kind of just come back to life in the last 6 months or so, and have started talking video games after years of just almost pretty much just abandoning the video game scene. I'm not a massive Bloober fan, but I do think there is potential in Bloober, and I do think they have added a lot of personnel recently, apparently, to help with like combat and stuff like that. Would you be excited for Bloober working on Silent Hill if that's true? Because that has That was rumored a while ago, and now obviously this is just going to add more stokes to that fire.
I think it would do them a bit of a disservice. I think Bloober Team are clearly very talented. I really enjoyed the medium. And I'm not sure a lot of people did, but I did. And more, I guess, I enjoyed the potential of the medium. And like, sure. I would be really excited about a medium too. And I think if they did that first and then a Silent Hill, or just don't even do Silent Hill, just do something new. Like I think at this point, Silent Hill is one of those franchises that you almost can't win. Like
yeah.
It had Norman Reedus, it had Kojima, it had all these things going for it. It had PT, which is still widely renowned as one of the best horror games of the past decade. Do you know what I mean? Yes. Like, and that's a demo for what it was going to be. Like, yeah. I don't think you can win. Like, I just don't see how you can win by doing it unless you say Kojima's back in and Kojima's making it. And I think that's the only way you can win. And I say win in quotes because I think even when that game comes out, it's not going to be what people want it to be. I think Silent Hill as a franchise has kind of snowballed out of its own control at this point. Again, only with the top 1% of gamers that actually care or even know still what Silent Hill is, right? Your average gamer who's playing Fortnite and Warzone probably doesn't know what Silent Hill is. So I think Bloober Team would be better off staying away from it. Now, financially, obviously, business-wise, that's a ridiculous thing to say. Silent Hill will sell more than the Medium 2. And so if they're looking at it from that angle, then it's important, I think, to go with Silent Hill. But I'm hoping that that's not the angle they're looking at it from. Because I think for me, I know they've done like Layers of Fear and stuff before, but for me, the Medium is the first game that I'm aware of them from, and sure. To see the potential in it is really exciting for me. And maybe they can't stick the landing. Maybe people have played Layers of Fear and they say, well, the Medium isn't that big of a step up from it. But I'm really excited to see what they do next. And if they do announce Silent Hill, I'm not going to be upset about it. Like, go for it. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. But yeah, and if they announce something brand new, I think I would actually be potentially more excited for that than the Medium 2. Yeah, I'm just excited to see what they do next. And like you say, them scaling up and bringing people in to do combat and stuff like that, I think is a good move. Like there was some interesting stuff going on in the Medium, but maybe a little bit long and for that kind of experience. But yeah, like I have faith. I'm excited to see what they do next. Do I think it'll be Silent Hill? No, I do not.
No, I honestly think the only way Silent Hill does happen is if Kojima is involved in some way. I think it's the only way it should probably happen as well, because then it can be, we can kind of hopefully realize the potential of what PT was going to be if Konami are playing nice. I would love for Konami to just play nice. I think they've got so many IPs that are just wasting away over there. New Castlevania would be lovely, I think. Give that to an interesting FromSoft. One, that'd be dope.
Yeah,
FromSoft.
No, that would be insane. That'd be great. That would be great.
Or maybe even
Bluepoint.
That could be tasty.
It's interesting that you say like they're coming back to life and talking about video games and stuff and more now. Like, part of me feels like the skeptic in me is like, oh, that's just because Netflix shows are doing all right for them based on their IP, and that's easy. Like they can just hand that off to somebody and be like, yeah, make a Netflix show. We don't give a crap what you do. Like, it doesn't matter to the lineage of the company.
That's kind of what they're doing with their IPs as well.
Yeah.
They're specifically just like, sick, who wants to work with it? So we can do nothing and just take free money, basically.
Which is a fine business model, if you ask me. Yeah. Like, go for it. Why not?
Yeah. If it gives us a new Metal Gear, new Silent Hill, new Castlevania, stuff like that, I'm all cool with it, to be honest. If they're not meddling, all good for me.
Metal Gear is an interesting one, right? Because Metal Gear, latest one, 5, is that right?
Yep.
Yeah, I'm not a big Metal Gear fan, but played 5 and adored it. From a gameplay standpoint, right? Adored
it.
But from everybody I chat to, that is not like considered a good Metal Gear game, right? Do you feel the same way?
Absolutely, yeah. I honestly don't think 4 was either. Even though I really enjoyed 4, it got to like it did like the midichlorian thing from Star Wars, where it was trying to explain it. They trying to just explain everything,
right?
And eventually it just went, oh, it's all nanomachines. Nanomachines are the reason this happens, and this vampire dude is a thing, and that person's still alive and stuff like that. It was all nanomachines, and it just kind of went off the wall. The rumor is Kojima wanted to stop at 3 and not fill in gaps, because obviously speculation and fan theories and stuff like that are far more fun than having an actual answer to things. But yeah, I love the gameplay of 5. I think most people do, and the story just wasn't finished. But I like the story more than a lot of people, because a lot of people don't factor in the original 2 Metal Gear games. Do you know about the twist at the end? I take it you finished it.
Of 5?
Yeah.
Did I finish 5? I'll be honest, it got to one of those points where it's like, oh, I'm so lost in the story. And even if I was up on Metal Gear, I feel like I would be lost in the story, but I'm not, and therefore I'm so lost in the story. I was probably like skipping cutscenes and stuff like that. I think I probably finished it.
Sure. So, essentially, you're not playing as Big Boss in that game. You're playing as I think it was the helicopter pilot or the medic from right at the beginning. And everyone, or a lot of people, were like, what the fuck? That doesn't make any sense. But people forget about the original 2 games, because there were 2 big bosses.
Right.
You fight Big Boss in both games. You kill him in one, and it turns out that's not a real Big Boss. So the theory around that is that Kojima was actually building up to remaking the original 2 games, which were on like NES sort of thing, which I would have loved. If they announced that that's the actual thing that's getting remade, and they're doing like one Metal Gear 1 and Metal Gear Solid Snake remake, that would be sick, because that's something a lot of people haven't seen. You could go back and play Metal Gear Solid. It's on GOG. It's great still. I love that game.
Right.
But I'd also just be happy with a Metal Gear Solid remake. And it is very, very... It's kind of like Kingdom Hearts. It's very hard to follow. It's very hard to follow, especially if you don't... if you're outside looking in, you're trying to get into like just a new game. It's a tricky one to get to grips with.
How would you want to see it remade, though? Do you want like full Final Fantasy VII remake? This isn't even the same thing anymore. Like expanded upon, or do you want like really faithful, prettier graphics, gameplay tweaks here and there to make it a bit more modern?
I'd go RE2. I'd go the RE2 style.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Thing.
Okay, that's perfect. Yeah,
I think you could do a kind of amalgamation of both those things if it were the original 2 like NES games, because obviously they're so far in the past, and I don't know how much depth there are to their stories, because I've only played them a little bit. But if it is just Metal Gear Solid, I think you just RE2 that. Change the perspective, because it was top down at points, and points is behind you sort of thing, just because of the PS1. But I think they'll probably just end up. They'll probably Demon Souls it, to be honest, because it is Bluepoint after all. I wonder about the voice acting, because David Hayter got kicked off of 5, so I wonder if he does come back. But then he did come back for Smash Bros. So.
Oh, did he really?
Yeah.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah.
Well, then, you could see him coming back. I wouldn't be surprised at that, really, right? Like, yeah. So I was going to ask, what was I going to ask? Oh, it's gone. It's left my mind. That's embarrassing.
It was going
to be a really good question. It was going to be a really good question.
We'll swing back to it. It's fine. I mean, I personally am expecting more and more of this sort of thing. More and more partnerships, more and more teams working together. I think we've obviously seen it with Nintendo and Ubisoft. They've just announced the second Rabbids game, which I'm really looking forward to.
Me too.
Really curious. They've said they've bulked up the team to make it even bigger and grander. So I'm really, really looking forward to that. And I know a couple of, like the guys on Game for All, for instance, and a couple of other people I know are pretty excited for that. Xbox and Nintendo have obviously had some slight partnerships in like crossplay and stuff like that. I do wonder if that will ever go deeper. And like I said, I imagine that'll just be probably like xCloud on the Switch. But what sort of, in a perfect world where you could like orchestrate whatever partnerships you want, what sort of partnerships do you think you would like?
I think yeah, I hate to be boring, but the next big one that I could see actually happening is that I've talked myself into it now during the podcast. Have you noticed? It's Nintendo xCloud a partnership. I think that would be insane and huge and awesome. Yeah, well, let me have a think about it. What other? Have you got any off the top of your head you can run on, and then I can?
My biggest one would be Konami and just letting PlayStation and Bluepoint do their thing. Yeah, that is probably real as it is. I would like. A while ago, I thought it would be cool if Capcom were allowed to play around with Silent Hill, but
100%.
I don't think they really need to, because of obviously, what they already have going there. The one that I would love, and it's not quite two game companies, but we said it ages ago when we were talking about Marvel games. We'd love to like our dream Marvel games over on Game for All. I want Remedy to make a Doctor Strange game, because that would be absolutely incredible.
Yes,
it'd be sick.
What a shout! Oh my god, that would be good.
And I would just love Nintendo to continue working with other people, because I want to see what other interesting things they can do. Like Cadence of Hyrule, for instance, I adore. I love that game so much. It's very cool. I want to see them do stuff like that with Mario, and we're starting to see that. I want to see them start doing that with like Kirby. Just want to see like loads of indie devs get their hands on Nintendo franchises. Give who should we get? I don't know what character to give to the Hollow Knight team, but give someone to the Hollow Knight team, because I think
I like that.
They're fantastic.
When you mentioned Marvel in there, it got me thinking. I would love to see some Marvel superheroes in Smash Bros. I know Smash Bros is super bloated at this point, but I think Disney in general working with Nintendo, and I'm not sure it'll ever really happen. And Disney's doing a pretty great job at the moment, like licensing out their stuff, like Sea of Thieves, Pirates of the Caribbean stuff is pretty awesome and quite unexpected and really well done. And then just sort of giving Marvel franchises to teams that think they can make a good game with it. And like you say, Remedy and Doctor Strange would be sick. I would love that. Maybe a Shang-Chi crossover as well. That would be cool. And so, like more Marvel, more Disney stuff, I guess, wider Disney stuff in Nintendo, I think would be really cool. And even just like fun little stuff, like give me a Marvel kart racer.
That'd be great.
Something weird and cute like that.
I have a pitch for. So a lot of people obviously want Mario Kart 9, right? Is it 9 now?
Sure.
Yeah, it'd be Mario Kart 9.
8 Ultimate, wasn't it? That was the last one.
Yeah. I don't think the next Mario Kart should be anything but Mario Kart Maker. Spin off Legend of Zelda Maker. Let us make Mario Kart. I think that'd be sick.
That would be
incredible.
That would do pretty well, I think. Right. Yeah.
It absolutely would. And then they could just keep adding to that. They wouldn't have to release another one for a good while. Because Mario Maker I love Mario Maker. It's so much fun.
Yeah.
And I really feel like just take it to the next step. They tried the Zelda Maker in Link's Awakening, I think it was, and it didn't go down too well, unfortunately.
Yeah.
A lot of people didn't like it. But Mario Kart seems like an obvious choice that I've never heard anyone else say.
It's one of those things where, you mention it, it sounds obvious and it sounds like a no-brainer. Also sounds relatively easy to do, bearing in mind that they've already made Mario Maker and stuff like that, and that's far more complex than a Mario Kart Maker would have to be. But it's one of those things like Nintendo just don't do the obvious thing. They don't do the thing. And look, if 10 years ago, or I suppose like 7 years ago, you'd said that Mario would be teaming up with the Rabbids and we'd be excited for a sequel to that game, that the original one did really well and people liked it, we'd think you were absolutely mental. But here we are. And it's like one of my most anticipated games because it's awesome. And so, Nintendo just, they don't do the obvious thing. And so a Mario Kart Maker makes perfect sense. And therefore it will never happen.
No. I do wonder, though, going back to the Marvel things, there's Boone has been teasing a Marvel kind of Injustice game, or a Marvel,
I've missed
fighter
this
game. It was a while ago. I can't remember exactly what he tweeted, but he heavily kind of teased that was what he was potentially working on next. I wonder if that does well if we get Marvel versus DC fighting game, because that would be pretty dope.
I think it's too far. I think what's more likely to happen, and this isn't likely to happen, that's how unlikely your scenario is that with the Sony announced they bought Bluepoint and they're working on PlayStation All-Stars 2 cross Marvel. I could see that happening.
Ooh, okay.
Like in like a weird alternate future. Like, yeah, get Aloy in there fighting Spider-Man and make it a PlayStation thing, and it'd be great.
I really think it's time for them to revisit that well. Really think it is, because the biggest issue with obviously the original PlayStation All-Stars was it didn't really have any All-Stars. They had a couple of really cool characters, but then you put them against like Parappa the Rapper.
Yeah.
It's a fun little character, but Kratos is way better than he was back then as well. Yes. Now you've got Aloy, Spider-Man. You can throw in I forgot her name from Returnal, Ratchet and Clank. There's a whole load of new characters you could throw in there. Ghost of Tsushima. I really, really think this is something they should be looking at doing now.
I would love to see it. I think part of the reason that it probably won't happen is that Nintendo have actually knocked it out of the park with Smash Bros. Ultimate.
Oh, yeah.
Nobody ever would have thought we'd get Snake back and a Cloud from Final Fantasy and stuff like that. Them pulling that off is insane. And they keep adding to it, and it's awesome. And I don't know if, like you say, PlayStation have their all-star cast now. Like, they could do it. You could have Ellie and Joel maybe, and people like that. There is like a bit of a weird thing where like those characters are more hardcore. Like that fighting game is like a bit more gruesome potentially than like Smash Bros, which is like Kirby and Mario. And so it's fun. There's the weird sort of balance you have to strike there, I think, because ultimately, surely it has to be it can't be like a serious Injustice fighting game. Maybe it can be. Maybe it can be. I don't know. But to me, it's like, surely it's got to be more of a party game similar to Smash Bros.
I wonder if you could tie it in to Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart and just be like...
That'd be awesome.
The universes are just going mad and everyone's just started fighting each other now.
Yeah,
power of the SSD. I really think cool. The one thing that makes me think soon might be a very good time to do it is because Nintendo are very much being like, no, this is the end of Smash. Like, we're finished with Ultimate now. We're not going to add any more characters. We're done. I'm not sure if that's true.
I don't think it's true, but I agree.
I'm not convinced it's true, and I hope it's not. I would love to see what else they can pull out the bag. I'm very curious. I'm worried that this last character is going to be another just Japanese fighting character that we've seen before, and it's not one that's going to get this side of the world excited necessarily.
Yes.
I don't want another Dragon Quest character or whatever game it is. I would. Oh, I don't know. I think Crash Bandicoot would be lovely, but
I can't see it. I can't see it. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. But it'll be interesting to see who it will be. But yeah, I think you're probably right. It'll probably be somebody from Dragon Quest or Fire Emblem or something we don't really care about, and the internet will be upset again. But yeah, and you mentioned doing Rift Apart as like the PlayStation All Stars thing. I think you'd actually do it in Astrobot. And make it an Astrobot thing, and then it's like traveling between the different consoles, and like, make it cute. Let's do it.
Sick.
Let's just make it ourselves. They can't sue us for that.
No, we'll change the name slightly. We'll do like the Chinese copyright thing, where it's just a couple of letters out, and you change character slightly.
Yeah, we'll be fine.
It'll be fine. So if we do get this rumored PlayStation event, what do you think we could see? What would you like to see? Because obviously we haven't seen what's coming for their second half of 2021 yet.
Yeah. I think we're done with Horizon. Like, let's not see any more Horizon. I mean, there'll be a teaser, there'll be like a sizzle reel thing, it'll be in there. Fine.
Unless they've decided on a date. I think that's the only way we see it, is if they're like, no, we're going to release it at this point now.
Fine. I don't need like 6 minutes of gameplay followed by the date. Do you know what I mean? Sure. Like, just give me the date. Which is, let's get that. Let's also get a look at God of War. Like, show it to me. Because at this point, I'm as worried for God of War as I was this time last year for Halo. Like, I'm scared.
Really?
Oh, yeah, I'm scared. Like, I think it's one of those things like where the snowball's out of control. And, like, God of War was so good. Like, I think God of War is probably my favorite game of all time.
Why are you worried about God of War?
Because I think God of the 2016, 2018 God of War?
18, yeah.
18 is my favorite game of all time. And and so I think that's why I'm scared.
Sure. Fair.
Yeah, and so I want to see some of it. Yeah, I not much. I don't need to see a lot. I just need to know that like it's in good shape, because at this point I'm not entirely sure it is. And that's a bit harsh because like that team are amazing, right? And what they pulled off in 2018 is incredible. And so I should give them the benefit of the doubt. And I think announcing a 2021 release when they did probably wasn't entirely their decision, and it was a way to sell PS5s and stuff like that. And there's a lot of stuff going on with that. But I'm scared. And so I want to see something.
I feel that.
Give me a little
I get that. I think I'm not too worried, because I think it is just part of what PlayStation is doing. They're bulking up all of their teams. Like, they've added so much to so many of their teams, so they can just kind of get games out a bit faster. Or not necessarily. It seems faster because more games are coming out in shorter windows, sort of thing. But I can see that. I do think we are going to see something of God of War soon, because I mean it's coming out in the next year, you would assume. I would be kind of surprised if it was late 2022.
Would you?
Oh my God. A little bit. It depends, actually. If Horizon doesn't launch this year, then sure, I can see it being pushed later.
Yes.
Because if Horizon doesn't launch this year, I really think they're going to try and do it on the anniversary of... Was it March, I think it launched in?
Oh, really? March? Okay. I could. Yeah, I mean,
try and do that.
If it's first half of next year, I'll be surprised. God of War. And I think Horizon at this point, I think is probably locked. Like, I'm not sure there's much wiggle room there. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm wrong. And because we've been saying forever, or I've been thinking forever, I should say, that's going to get pushed to next year. And E3 was the time to push it if they were going to push it. I think if they push it now, a lot of people are going to be upset about it. And a lot of people are going to be upset anyway, like whatever. I'd rather the game be good than rushed, right? But
100%.
I think showing what they did off at State of Play, like it looked so polished. Like you're kind of giving people the insinuation there that you're done. Like I know that's not how vertical slices of games work at all, but that's the feeling it gives people when they watch it, right? Like,
well, yeah, 100%. That was the thing with Hellblade. Like, people are now wondering why we haven't seen Hellblade in 2 years almost now. Because it was the first game they showed off with the Xbox Series X, and it's it's all radio silent, which is a little worrying. But they are still very, very early in that. They're only working on a gameplay slice at the moment. They've only just done mo capture and voiceover and stuff like that. So they are very early.
I wonder if part of that is just that the story of Hellblade is the heart of that game, right? Like gameplay is what it is, and like I don't think anybody's expecting some sort of revolutionary thing from the gameplay of Hellblade, but they have to nail that story, and I have every faith that they will. And so maybe them working, their pre-production time is probably a lot bigger than something like a Horizon Forbidden West, which is, I'm sure, massive pre-production time, but so much of that goes into gameplay and world building and stuff that Hellblade doesn't necessarily have to worry about.
Yeah. My only worry with, and it just kind of lingers on me the more we don't see it, is, God, I hope they don't try and go for an open world with this game. I don't want another. I think
I agree.
The biggest they can go is like God of War, what they did with the 2018, and do like worlds. I don't think an open world would work too well with the if they are going to continue the style of storytelling they had before. I really don't want this to be another open world game. I think it could damage the game if it's.
I totally agree with you. Something interesting that's sort of been talked about recently is like this idea, 5, 6 years, 7, 8 years ago, the big deal for like a new open world game coming out was like, how big is the world? How big is it compared to the last one? Like GTA 5, I remember people talking about like, how long is it going to take you to walk from the top to the bottom of the map? And now, like these new consoles and stuff, the SSDs and the PS5 being touted so heavily, it's like, oh, GTA 5 had actually a lot of open space because we couldn't load everything at the same time. So we had to make you drive down that road so we could unload that and load that in front of you.
Yeah.
So now it's fascinating to see what design decisions are going to get made based on the power of these new consoles. That's what I'm really excited to see. When Mark Cerny first showed off the PS5 and talked about when you're shimmying through a crack in a wall or whatever, that's because we're loading something I'd never considered before. And so I'm fascinated to see what much smarter people than me designing games are going to do with that power and that ability. And I think Hellblade's a great chance to do that. And the worry is that, like, if you go open world is the kitschy word, right, to put on the poster or whatever. And people get excited about that for some reason, although I'd hope that's changing. Like, one of the things I like about God of War is that the world is bigger than what you can access. Like, you have all those different worlds, but there's restraint there in being like, no, you can't go off to them. And so I love it when we see a bit of restraint.
Same. There's stuff like, one of the biggest things that turned me off about games now is when I think Halo Infinite did it. It's like, oh, it's our biggest open world. It's like, cool.
Yeah.
I don't want massive open worlds. Just fill it with stuff.
What does that even mean for a Halo game, which isn't known for its open worlds? Like, exactly.
For sure.
Yeah.
I so many games. Assassin's Creed got really bad for it. Like,
Assassin's Creed is terrible for it.
Odyssey. I really liked Odyssey, but I only played like 10 hours of it because the map opened up and I was like, fuck that.
Yep. I really liked Odyssey, Origins, and Valhalla, and I've probably put a combined 20 hours into all of them and dropped off. Because I want take me through this world, give me this story. Don't just let me loose and run off and get a load of little things on the map because I'm just lost. Like Witcher 3 is one of the games that I've never finished, and people will hate me for, I'm sure. But
I haven't either.
It was load me in, and I'm loving this world and I'm loving this story, and there's a question mark around every corner, and I can't. My brain can't let me just do the story. I just can't.
Yeah, no, same. I had the exact same thing with Breath of the Wild. It took me a good year for it to all click, and then when it clicked and I started going around and doing like the little stories you can find, they were so much cooler than just going around and being like, oh, collectible over there, collectible over there, sort of thing. I really think there might be something to this Bluepoint thing where they're holding off on announcing it, because I wonder if they are finally going to go, and we're working on Metal Gear Remake, and maybe it's coming out this year, because that'd be dope. I would actually lose my shit at that.
I wouldn't get your hopes up on that. It's coming out this year. Come on.
I wouldn't. I mean, Bluepoint did that last year. Last year as well. Was it last year?
Well, for Demon Souls.
Last year with Demon Souls. It only got announced last year, and then they announced it last year.
Okay.
Yeah.
I wonder if that's when you're hitting launch for console, it's a different ball game, isn't it? But
yes. Yeah, for sure.
I can't wait to see what they come out with. So whatever it is, I'm excited. I really do hope it's not a remake, to be honest with you. As happy as I would be for you in your Metal Gear remake, I'm not sure.
I mean, the Metal Gear remake sounds dead on. There sounds like it's almost a guarantee at this point, because there's been so many different leaks and there's so many different people who have reported on that. It sounds like that's pretty much nailed on at this point. Is there anything else they can announce that would get you really excited? That's kind of realistic. So obviously we don't want to jump the shark here and go there. GTA 6, because that's not coming out for a good while from the sounds of it.
Yeah, I don't think we see GTA 6 for a very long time. I would love a little update, and I don't think it'll happen. I think they've even come out and said they're not going to talk about it for a couple of years. But PSVR 2, I would love a little update on that. I'm kind of worried about it, because what they have come out and said is that it's going to have one cable, and I think by the time it comes out, a VR headset having one cable will seem completely dated to us, as it kind of does now with like Quest being a thing. And so if they're going to wait another 5 years to put that thing out and it comes out with a cable, I think it's going to put me off, certainly. Why wouldn't I just go by Quest?
Sure. I think it depends on the quality of the games that are in there.
Sure.
Because obviously with the Quest, you can plug it into the PC and then it becomes a Rift.
100%. I would love that option. Plug it into the PS5 and it becomes better or whatever. Great.
Yeah. Maybe they pivot it and it becomes their their handheld or their portable thing. So you can sit on the sofa and play, Astrobot, whatever, and then you can plug it in and have, I don't know, a Last of Us first-person VR thingy. Something that's more demanding. That would be cool. I don't see it. I don't think that's going to happen by any stretch.
No.
But I am excited that they are sticking with VR, because obviously PlayStation are a bit notorious for being a bit like, here's a cool thing. Never mind.
Well, yeah, and just because they've said that they're working on PSVR doesn't mean that they're going to not do that, right? like I can still see them just going quiet and never talking about it ever again. But yeah, like a little update just to be like, hey, the cable's optional. That's all I need to hear. That would be lovely. But yeah, that'd be cool.
I do wonder if we'll ever see like additions to the PlayStation 5 Plus collection. I wonder if that could potentially be how, because there's been talk for a good while that they've got their alternative or something in the works that could potentially not necessarily compete with Game Pass, but answer it a little bit on their side. So I wonder if it is just.
I think I've been saying it for too long to predict it for this. Like they have to come out and acknowledge that Game Pass exists and that now cloud gaming exists, and they have to figure out a way in, I think. And they keep proving me wrong, right? Like the PS5 keeps selling out, and like obviously people are still trying to get a hold of this console, and PS5 is more popular than Xbox still. But they have to come out with something. Surely they have to compete in this space, I think.
I'd love it if they used it to kind of highlight their older games.
Yeah, 100%.
Like Nintendo do. I that's what I always thought PS Now was going to be, and that was what they talked about it being originally. But it's just that PS3. The PS3 architecture has completely screwed them over on that.
Just don't worry about the PS3 then. Yeah, I'm sure there's a workaround. Yeah. But also, if you just just come out and be honest about it and go, yeah, look, the PS3 we all know is a fucking nightmare. We're just not going to do PS3 games. Pretty much anything you wanted to play on your PS3, there's a way, right? Like there's a remaster, and that's not technically true, right? I know there's loads of people out there who love some PS3 games that are really difficult to play.
Yeah.
But the big ones are PS1 and PS2, and you know that. It's so easy to say, right, from here, having no knowledge of it. But it's so easy. Sure. Surely it's so easy in PlayStation. Just do it.
Then, on the flip side of that, it does also potentially take away their ability to remake a lot of these games. Because if a lot of people can just access that... Because I was like that for a bit. I was like, no, I like the originals. I like the old textures. I like all that. Because I like to see how far we've come. But Resident Evil and Final Fantasy really flipped my head on that, because you can still do that. You can still do that. You can see how far they've come. It's just they can bring these stories to some, they're just more palatable when they remake them, because you don't have to deal with all the old nonsense they used to.
I don't think it hurts them in doing remakes necessarily. It just puts a bit more pressure on those remakes to be good. Like that Prince of Persia: Sands of Time is one that I was super excited for, and then we saw the trailer, and I was like, no, thank you.
I do wonder if we're not going to see that again, because it's gone very quiet.
Do you think ever?
Maybe.
It kind of looked like they basically like I don't know if this is true or if I'm chatting complete shit. I thought they'd like recut the original trailer for Prince of Persia. That doesn't sound right now. I'm saying it out loud, but I feel like we saw a lot of the game in that trailer, and so in my head I was like, oh, this is like pretty far along. It doesn't look great, and like a lot of people have issues with it, obviously, but to me it was like, I think it's probably too far along to completely can, I would have thought, but who knows?
Maybe,
who knows?
Maybe, because you might be right, because they might have literally just taken the original trailer and just kind of modernized it, perhaps.
I'm saying that out loud, it doesn't sound right, because surely the original trailer for Prince of Persia was like super dated, and it felt like a relatively modern trailer in its kind of pasting and stuff like that. But I don't know, maybe I'm wrong. I just felt like
maybe it was just the inspiration.
Yeah, exactly. We're seeing a lot of the iconic scenes that we recognize from Prince of Persia, and therefore it's hitting all those nostalgia buttons, but at the same time hitting all those worrying buttons.
Perhaps it was the opening, because the opening
I think so.
Prince of Persia, they do like that kind of trailery recap.
I think so. And so I'd be surprised if we never see that again, just because I think it seemed to me at least like it was so far along. Now maybe the backlash has made them start again from square one, which would be insane. Maybe. But yeah,
I mean, it could have just been that it looked bad. Like everything else could have been on point. It might just be the graphics overhaul.
But it's one of those things where I think like, you if you're gonna allow people to like, let's say they come out with a PlayStation 2 emulator, and as part of the PS Plus collection or as part of PS Now, you can now go back and play loads of stuff on PS2, on your PS5. Awesome. That would be incredible. But it does then say, right, well, Prince of Persia: Sands of Time remake needs to be really good. Like, it needs to be worth spending $70 on apparently now, or whatever they would end up charging for it. Who knows? And so I think, look, from a super business minded point of view, it's probably not a good move, because you are relegating some things from an easy flip remaster. But ultimately for the fans, I think it's a great thing that should be being done, right? And something that I think Xbox is doing an incredible job of. So
see, that kind of makes me think it would be something they should and potentially could do, because PlayStation, they've kind of got this thing about them where they almost refuse to launch a bad game. Like we saw it with what was that multiplayer game earlier in the year? Oh damn, Destruction All Stars.
Oh sure.
All Stars. They were going to launch that as a full price game,
yes,
and then they were like, oh, maybe not. Have it for free on PlayStation Plus, and now it's not going to be £70 sort of thing. So I honestly would be surprised if it is something they do, because it will then force quality to go up. It would not allow, these subpar games to just be cashed in on.
Sure.
Hopefully.
I think it's a nice idea. So. It's a nice utopian idea. I'm not sure that's the way they necessarily think about it. But I think ultimately it would be a good thing for consumer and industry. Ultimately, going back to the things that they could announce that would get me very excited at a potential PSX. Because you reminded me then when you talked about Destruction All Stars, there were rumors that back in March, I think, when Kena Bridge of Spirits was originally supposed to come out, it was going to be a PS Plus game.
Oh, yeah.
And then it got delayed to August, and that broke my heart, because I'm so excited for that game.
I'm really, same.
If that gets put on PS Plus, my God, that would be an exciting announcement. I'd be super excited. My excitement's only grown because a while ago I learned that they're the guys that made that Majora's Mask short from a couple of years ago. Oh, really?
And I adore that. I thought it was incredible.
Yeah.
So I'm almost like doubly rooting for them now, because I thought that short is just so cool.
100%.
And I think PlayStation are doing this interesting thing where they're kind of trying to steal Nintendo's thunder. It hasn't quite worked so far. We've had Sackboy, which is very Mario 3D. Astrobot was very Mario 64, and then Mario Odyssey.
Yeah.
Just very much smaller. This feels a bit Zelda-like. I really think they're maybe trying to steal a bit of thunder, and I'm cool with that. I think someone else having a crack at a Mario-style game or a Zelda-style game is a good thing.
Yeah, 100%.
Because we get to see some variety. And if someone's going to put a bit of pressure on Nintendo to be like, shit, we need to push out a bit more, it's only going to rise. Rising tide raises all boats.
100%.
I think is how the saying goes. Sort of thing. I just going really quick back to the PlayStation Collection thing, or like their version of Game Pass. I think one easy fix is to announce that PlayStation Plus and PlayStation Now are one thing.
Definitely.
Just smash them together, and then the monthly games are just the games that are going to be going in, and then you rotate other games out, sort of thing. And if they are able to improve that, because I use it on my PC and it runs pretty well, to be fair. I've never had any trouble with it. I was playing Bloodborne not too long ago, and I used it to play Catherine, which is a fantastic game. I would love for them to push it, but it just doesn't seem they're going to. They talk about fairly often, games that are coming to it, and they just added stuff like Avengers and Borderlands, stuff like that. They're adding some pretty big things to it, and people are playing it. It's just, I don't know, it kind of feels like they've just admitted defeat, because they've got however million pittance compared to what Microsoft have over Game Pass. But if you're throwing in everyone that has PS Plus as well, that's a lot of people. So it could even it out a bit, and then it could, as an extra thing that PS Plus members have for free. They don't have to pay extra, because you're paying 2 subscriptions for that at the minute, which is a bit shit compared to what Game Pass is.
100%. I think the issue you have is, can you do that and not charge more? right? Can you bundle
For
it
sure.
in and not charge more? Because they already have this install base of people who are playing PS Now, all right? It's not the numbers of Game Pass, but there are people there. And so you have to say, we're going to lose that in order to get more players in and get more, love from the community, I guess is not the right way of putting it, but you know what I mean?
Sure.
Like, it's difficult to say that. It's difficult to make that business of like,
For sure.
all of this money you see on the spreadsheet is going to disappear. So like, that's a really tough call. I think PlayStation Now is in a really rough spot with like, just from a branding point of view, like, I don't think your average, even PS5 owner knows what PS Now is, apart from the fact that every now and again it'll just be the first tile when you turn on your PS5 or PS4.
And especially with like the PlayStation 5 collection being something completely separate as well. I think that just muddied the waters.
100%. And Xbox
confused stuff so much.
We made a joke about it right at the start, but the Xbox have not done this particularly well either, with the like cloud gaming and Game Pass and Game Pass Ultimate and Xbox Live. And so there's a lot of simplifying that I think needs to go on and educating the user on what the hell is going on. But PlayStation Now I think has kind of had a bad rap in the industry for since it launched, and people are relatively unwilling, I think, to give it a second chance. You're the only person I know who plays PlayStation Now, anecdotally, right?
Same. Oh, actually, no, sorry, Jake, my usual co-host uses it. But yeah, other than that, I don't know anybody who uses it.
Exactly. And so educating people on why they should be, or putting a goddamn PlayStation 2 emulator into it and like making that an amazing thing is maybe the way to do that.
Or maybe even just doing that, like putting PlayStation Now into PlayStation Plus, but just kind of like not acknowledging PlayStation Now almost, and just be like, now PlayStation Plus offers you this. Yeah. And then there'll be some people that'll be like, wasn't that just PlayStation Now? But then most people would just be like, oh, that's
exactly
cool, sort of thing.
100%.
But then, like you said, you would still potentially risk losing those 3 million people or however much it is, because it's not a huge amount, but 3 million people spending money every single month, that's still money.
Exactly.
That's still money, and you'd have to. I wonder if they would do like a some sort of discount. If you got PlayStation Now, you can get PlayStation Plus or whatever the hell they're going to call it for a discounted price for a year or something like that as we integrate you over something.
Yeah, and I think that is something that Xbox done well at, as making it almost so cheap to upgrade your thing or to move over or whatever it is. It's what, £1 for your first 3 months of Game Pass Ultimate at this point. I think PlayStation need to do that. They need to figure out a way that they can say this thing is £1. This thing is free for 3 months. Everybody has it now for 3 months. I think would be an amazing move for them. To just try and lock some people in, like get people understanding what it is and talking about it in the same way that Game Pass, that people talk about Game Pass. But I think unless Sony are willing to say, hey, Ratchet and Clank's in there, day one, like Xbox are. That's the difficult thing, right?
I think they could for some, but it would never be a game of that ilk. It would always be a kind of like a Kenner, for instance. Yeah. It would be something like that.
Yeah.
Or your Odd Worlds or something, because PlayStation games still sell like hotcakes.
Yes, and
they still sell so much.
They sell so much, and now for more. Now for $70, and so to say go from that to it's free in the service is a really hard pill for them to swallow again. Yeah. And it's this interesting division, right? Like Halo Infinite is coming, quote unquote, free for everybody. Well, multiplayer is free for everybody, and then the campaign is on Game Pass day one, whereas Ratchet and Clank is $70 at launch, and that's, for me, that's a big deal. And I don't know if it is for the mainstream gaming audience, but I think it should be.
Yeah, I mean, I just don't think PlayStation have the funding to pull that sort of thing off. I had an idea a while back when they were investing all that money in Epic and working with Epic, whether there was going to be some sort of partnership there where they made some kind of PlayStation store together or something like that. Because I know they, it came out of the Epic versus Apple stuff that they were trying to get some PlayStation exclusives over on Epic. Because Epic are probably one of the only other companies that have the money to make a Game Pass alternative.
I think so.
But obviously that never came to anything, unfortunately.
Yeah, I wonder how
we're going to see PlayStation games on PC anyway.
Yeah, and I wonder how good their relationship is, especially after they got some bad press out of this Apple case when Epic announced that PlayStation charged Epic for crossplay, whereas Xbox and Nintendo didn't, and so. I wonder how good that relationship is at the moment. I don't know. Interesting.
I mean, I wonder how good their relationship with anyone is at this point, because so much came out from those. Unfortunately. I wonder if it's probably a bit out there. I don't think it will happen, but maybe Final Fantasy VII Part 2 we get a look at soon through the PlayStation thing. I really want it.
I
really want it.
Yeah,
I don't.
I mean, that would be amazing. I think it took us so long to get Part 1, and they've been doing Integrate,
and obviously we just got
exactly. Yeah. And so I don't know, man. Like, I am so happy for everybody who's so thrilled with that game. I tried it, couldn't get into it. Never been a Final Fantasy guy. Maybe that was why, but I think Final Fantasy VII Remake Part 2 is going to become as much of a meme as Final Fantasy VII Remake was when it was first announced.
It'll be the new Kingdom Hearts.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, it's literally Kingdom Hearts, dude. I do wonder what's going on with the exclusivity with that. It's really bizarre.
It's
really bizarre.
Yeah, I've talked about it a fair bit on my Xbox with me and stuff, but I think again it's going to become a meme. I think there was initially 6 months exclusivity, and then Integrate came out, and maybe that's pushed the exclusivity more, but it's all very murky, right? Like, Fixer has the case for PS4, and on it says like the date that the exclusivity runs out, and he would like pull it off the shelf and check and be like, we're gonna get an announcement anytime now. I think it'll be a very long time if it ever happens.
I do as well. I expect it. I would imagine PC will get maybe,
I think so. I could see that.
But the Integrate stuff is meant to be exclusive for a year, but I honestly think that 6 months.
Yeah.
But I honestly just think that's PS5. I don't think that's it's going to come to other places. I think that just means it'll come to PS4 after 6 months.
Oh really?
Interesting. I think so.
Maybe.
It's a very weird thing because I mean, like, Final Fantasy 16 is meant to be exclusive, right? Is that full exclusive?
I think so. I believe so.
Which is a pretty huge gap.
Again, I'm not the Final Fantasy guy, unfortunately, and if 7 Remake can't get me in, I'm not sure any can, right? But
I mean, it was the one that got me.
Yeah,
it was the one that got me. I've wanted to for ages, but I just never found a way in.
Maybe I need to put some more time in or something. I don't know what it was. Like something about the combat just didn't hook me.
Sure.
I don't know why. Yeah. Like, was it too easy? Am I moving too slowly? I don't know whether I fully understood it. I don't know. It just didn't hook me.
Yeah.
And so
I mean, I played the first Kingdom Hearts like the year before that, like for the first time ever. So it kind of, I don't know, maybe it like mentally prepped me for it. And then obviously that's a pretty much 20-year-old game.
Mm-hmm.
So having a modern version of that where the combat is actually better, maybe that helped me through.
Probably. And Bloodborne is actually interesting because like I picked up Bloodborne, hated it, put it down, never played it, and then went back to it like probably a year, maybe 2 years later. And because I had that little bit of like, I have played this before, I kind of know what I'm doing. I'm not getting my ass kicked quite as much. I played it through, and it's one of my favorite games of all time. And so, and Demon Souls is as well, right? Like, and now I'm really into that franchise. And now when Elden Ring, almost forgot the name of it, comes out, I know like it's going to be rough and it's going to be hard, but I have that base skill line to get me through. Whereas Final Fantasy, I have none of that, right? Like, I don't know what the characters are talking about. I don't know how the magic system works. I don't know how combat works. And so maybe just having that little bit of if I went back and started it fresh now, I'd actually click with it more, maybe. I don't know.
For sure. But, yeah. I mean, you brought up one there that I think we'll talk about as our last point. Are we ever going to see a Bloodborne 2?
Not at this PSX, you know. Are we ever
in general, I think.
I don't know. I think
I really feel that they're. I wonder if they're on a roll of just, we did Dark Souls for a good while. I really feel like they're just not wanting to do another series. I feel like they're just moving from game to game. Maybe they all take place in the same universe because there's been like Easter eggs and some links and that.
Sure, very loose, yeah.
Bloodborne and stuff like that. And Elden Ring. Granted, he probably doesn't know on that level, but George R. R. Martin called Elden Ring a sequel to to Dark Souls. Sorry,
right?
Probably isn't. It probably just takes place maybe in the same universe, or it's just he's not much of a gamer sort of thing. But I really I like that their games are different each time now. I think it's really cool. And two, I honestly think that might just be what they want to do now, because each game is just aesthetically quite different, even though it's they've all got that FromSoft aesthetic to them. They're all different time periods. They're all different. This is fantasy, whereas Sekiro was old school Japanese stuff. I don't know if they want to revisit series anymore.
I feel like Elden Ring is probably the closest to Dark Souls, right? Like Elden Ring kind of feels like Dark Souls. Yeah, exactly. Interestingly, like the enemies to me almost looked more Bloodborne-y, right? Like the weird like giant golem things that were running around and stuff.
Yeah, the big like pot thing.
Yeah, and so there's like an interesting weird mix there. I think if you're going to see a sequel to any From Software game that isn't Dark Souls, I think it's more likely to be Sekiro than it is Bloodborne. I think people, how much From Software care about this, I don't know, but I think people really resonated with the setting of Sekiro and the characters more so than most From games, and so
same way they did Ghost as well. That was
100%. And so I think what am I trying to say? I'm more likely to see them go back to Sekiro than I am Bloodborne. Sure. I think that's more likely. I don't think we get any announcements on any of that stuff anytime soon. I wonder if I wonder firstly how much involvement George R. R. Martin has in the story of Elden Ring. I would probably think not that much, but
I don't think so. I always read it as like world building. I never read it as like he was doing all the lore and character.
No, exactly.
Work.
The moment-to-moment
stuff. Some
people
say so.
Exactly. But if he is really heavily involved, is he capable? That it sounds more harsh than I mean it to, but you understand what I mean. Is he capable of doing a one-hit wonder? And so, like, are we more likely to see Elden Ring 2 than we are Bloodborne 2?
I mean, he said his work was done a very long time ago, so I highly doubt that he's all that
involved.
Integral. It does just sound like it's the world building.
They just want to put him on the trailer, put his name in the trailer.
Exactly. Yeah, for sure. And it's also the thing is like, do they solely own the Bloodborne IP? Would they do another exclusive again? I'm not sure, to be honest. I know PlayStation, or Sony rather, they bought some of the FromSoft parent company, but how much sway that gives them, I don't know.
Yeah.
But I don't know if they'd ever do a exclusive again.
With Horizon and Days Gone and stuff coming to PC, Bloodborne is kind of the odd one out of that pack at this point, right? Of like screaming for that thing on PC. Sorry,
I mean, it didn't even get like a pro update.
Exactly, yeah. So I think there is some weird, difficult business stuff there, maybe, or maybe from just don't care and aren't willing to put the time in, or Sony isn't and it's too old. I don't know, but I think Bloodborne is done, and I think. Would Bloodborne 2 have to be exclusive? Probably, I would assume some sort of business deal there.
Yeah,
and like you say, maybe From don't want to do that. I would love to see them go back though, and the gun in Bloodborne I think is fantastic, and I think probably Bloodborne is my favorite combat system, more so than Sekiro, and so I would love to see them sort of go back to it. And if it was a Bloodborne 2, I'd be super excited for it. Don't get me wrong, but I don't think it's.
So I've just had a thought.
Go on then.
What if that's what Bluepoint are doing?
What, Bloodborne remake?
What if Bluepoint are just taking over Bloodborne and make Bloodborne 2 and
100% do it. Give it to them. That'd be amazing. Sick. That'd be incredible. But I'd be
let them do Metal Gear, and then I honestly would be as well. But I don't know. Part of me also wouldn't be after Demon Souls, because I think Demon Souls is incredible.
Yeah,
I think it would be a bit of a shame if they didn't make that style of game. Because I honestly think Demon's Souls. Granted, I haven't played too many Bluepoint remakes, but I honestly think Demon's Souls is probably their best game so far, or the best remake so far.
Yeah, it's a difficult one, right?
I didn't
They've
play
always
Shadow,
they've always stuck really faithfully to the like Shadow Colossus is like a super faithful, almost to a fault, faithful remake, and so it just hasn't been monetized at all, and some of the button controls are strange, right, for it.
Sure.
But yeah, Demon's Souls again. I didn't play the original. I've only ever played the remake, and so I don't know how incredibly faithful it is. I'm assuming it's very faithful, and it's just a beautiful game on the PS5.
From what I heard, it was going around for a while, is that they actually wanted to put like difficulty settings in it, and I don't know if they were told they weren't allowed to, or if it was just something they didn't decide to do in the end. But from all that I can see and that I've heard from like Jake, for instance, my co-host, he's played the original one. It sounds like it is pretty faithful. Yeah, because that is kind of what they're known for.
Yeah, definitely.
But man, just imagine they get given Bloodborne. That'd be so cool.
It would be cool.
Yeah, FromSoft don't want to work on it if it is PlayStation's IP.
Yeah.
Maybe there's no reason they couldn't.
I'd almost be, based on what you've literally just said, I'd almost be more excited then to see their own thing, their own take on a Souls-like. Because, like you say, if what they're... I think the Bloodborne from game should have difficulty settings. It's not a particularly popular opinion, or I don't know, it's a contentious opinion, maybe not popular, but I think they should, yeah. And so I would love to see Bluepoint do their own thing and not be constrained. You know, if they do make a Bloodborne 2 or remake a Bloodborne, are they again in that conversation of not being allowed to do exactly what they want to do? I want to see what they want to do.
Yeah,
you know?
sure.
So
I'd
be up for that.
Yeah, I think they should do the Cuphead route where you've got the two difficulties sort of thing. Because Cuphead, you obviously had the, I think it was just had the punishing normal difficulty, and then there was a slightly easier. I don't fully know the difference between the two because I haven't played that in a good while. But I'm with you. I think you could let Bluepoint do like kind of like they're doing with like the Outer Worlds and stuff like that. They're continuing with that instead of putting them on Fallout potentially, which I think is a good idea. I think you should just let people do their version of stuff
For sure.
I can't think of anything else that I think they could potentially announce. I don't think there's too much. So one thing I would love, and it's out there. I don't know if it will ever happen. And I don't know if it's something that could even be announced anytime soon, even if they could. But I mentioned Catherine earlier. I'd love for Atlas to just do a smaller game again, because Catherine's fantastic. I would love for them to continue doing their more bite-sized games, because I love the Persona series and stuff like that. But a more bite-sized, 12-hour game compared to a 120-hour game would be nice.
Yeah, so Catherine is a puzzler about you being somebody's ex-boyfriend and dreaming about them. Is that right?
So you're with one girl called Catherine, but then another girl called Catherine comes into your life, and she you start cheating on her, and then it's the puzzles are dream sequences. Yes. It's fantastic.
Is it really that good? I remember hearing about it a lot when it came out, and people saying it was very good, but very strange and like interesting and stuff. Oh, yeah. And so Atlas games is something I've never really dived into. Like Persona, similar to what we were saying about Assassin's Creed, it seems so very daunting to me, and I don't know if I can put myself through it. But yeah, like it's one of those weird things, right? Like I always say, one of my favorite games of all time is Fallout 3, and I think it's because it caught me at the right period in my life where I had no responsibility and all summer to just play Fallout 3, and absolutely adored it. I think if that game came out now, I would not adore it in the same way. And not get as lost in the world, and just because I haven't got the time to put into it. And so I am a big proponent of smaller interesting games, but I know that's not necessarily what everybody wants.
No, I hope that is the direction we end up going in, though. I want more just games I can actually finish.
I think just Game Pass, interestingly, allows for that a little bit more, and whatever PlayStation end up doing, whether it is PS Now or whatever else, I think there's like less risk, right? Like we can put out a little 10-hour experience on Game Pass, see how it does. Maybe we blow it up into a franchise, maybe we don't. Like I think the Medium was almost like the first hinge to that, right? Like I think so many more people played the Medium because of the time it came out, and it was like being touted as like the first next gen experience, 2 ray trace worlds at the same time. Oh my god, get excited! And it was kind of pushed a little bit harder than potentially it should have been. But the fact that it was on Game Pass is just like a no brainer for a lot of people, and so to at least try it. And so I think you can risk more in the world of Game Pass than you can normally when you're charging £70 for a game.
100%. Just before we close out, have you got any other, just a completely out there thing you would love to see if PlayStation were doing an event soon?
Man, what would I want to see from PlayStation? Vita 2. PlayStation Vita 2, that's what I want.
Oh, yes. I would love a Vita
dockable 2. Vita. That's what I want. I can put it into the PS5. And, well, actually, why would you need to do that if you had a PS5?
Just have it as like a second screen thing.
Yeah, so exactly.
I'll leave my PlayStation on. I'm going to go downstairs and play Ratchet.
And I mean, they've kind of done away with the need for it because you can remote play the PlayStation 5 onto anything, essentially.
Yeah.
But there's something about PSP, man. Like I pre-ordered the original PSP way back in the day and had like Tony Hawk, I think American Wasteland 2 or 1 was coming out on it at the time, and just put so many hours into that. I'm very fond of the old PSP, and yeah, still I can't believe like the most heartbreaking thing in the world is when you plug in the PS Vita into the PS4 and it would say we don't recognize this device, and it's like, come on, like just come up with a better notification than we do not recognize our own fucking device. Like insane. But yeah, like I feel like the Switch has proven that handhelds are a thing. Like the Switch Lite as well 100%. Has proven that handhelds are a thing if they're done right.
100%.
And so there's room for it. It'll never happen. Yeah. It's a
I mean, even Steam were looking into it. Like Valve were looking into a handheld, which would be incredible.
It would be.
That would be. It would be a lot of money.
Part of me almost thinks that like Xbox are more likely to come out with one than PlayStation are at this point, and I don't think Xbox will. Like.
No, I mean they've already got theirs. It's xCloud.
Exactly. Yeah, you're absolutely right. So why would they bother? But like,
yeah,
it's one of those things that like, just for the nostalgia factor, just give me a PS Vita 2. It won't happen because they've all, they went back and forth on closing the PlayStation Vita stores, right, and like stuff like that. And like, so I think that's the nail in the coffin, really, for like
what. Apparently, they gave up on the Vita because it was so easily hackable.
Yes.
So people were able to get into the PlayStation Network.
So was the original PSP. And it was a bit of a mess, wasn't it? It always has been from. Surely they could figure it out nowadays. Come on.
You would hope so. But PlayStation do seem a bit behind the times.
They do.
They're a weird kind of in-between of Xbox and Nintendo.
Yeah.
Where they're still set in their ways, but they still somehow manage to push mediums forward quite well.
They go in weird cycles, don't they, of their attitude towards the industry and everything else. And they're a strange old bunch. But
they completely like, no, we're not doing crossplay, but here's a VR headset. No one else is doing it. Madness. But I think that'll do us for today. Thank you so much for joining me today.
It's been a pleasure, mate. It's been a pleasure.
Oh, thank you so much. I'm so happy that I could have you on. I've always enjoyed our chats over on Game for All, so this has been wonderful. And thank you once again for filling in for Jake. Hopefully he will be back soon. He's just got a bunch of stuff he's dealing with, so we may have a couple of different guests on here for a moment, and it might just be me occasionally as well. What do you guys at home think? What do you think of the acquisitions that PlayStation have made? Do you think that we can get another Bloodborne from Bluepoint? Maybe not. Do we think we're going to see Metal Gear soon? Probably not. And what kind of acquisitions or partnerships do you want to see in the future? What are your dream ones? Do you want to see Mario and Master Chief hook up and shoot some Goombas or something? I don't know. I'm rambling. I'm terrible at outros. Absolutely horrendous at them. But if you do have any comments, concerns, topic ideas, anything like that, do send it over to esgvids@gmail.com. If you like this video, do give it a like and give us some nice comments while you're down there as well. And thank you once again for joining me, Matt, and thank you to all the watchers and listeners for viewing me. I will see you again very soon.
Bye bye.